What happened to Elisa Lam? This case is surrounded with strange and mysterious circumstances that leave those who hear about it left wondering that very question. All the details that have been revealed so far have only created more questions than answers. Was it foul play? An accident? Or something else? All we have to go on now is the famously creepy hotel surveillance video that recorded her odd final moments before her disappearance. Ever since her body was discovered in the hotel's water tank on February 19th, her tragic death has remained shrouded in mystery. Elisa was a student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. Like most students, Elisa felt the grind of school and the pressure of planning out the rest of her life. She wrote in her blog that she felt so utterly disconnected and lost. She also wrote about her struggle with mental illness. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, and suffered a relapse in January 2012. Because of all this, Lam felt like she needed to clear her head, and a trip to California sounded like the perfect way to do this. Her parents were not big on the idea of Elisa going to another country, let alone by herself. But after some convincing and promising to call every day to check in, Elisa convinced her parents to let her go. It was a dream come true for Elisa. She traveled by Amtrak and city bus in San Diego and explored the city. Her social media posts showed that she visited the San Diego Zoo before departing that city. Lam arrived in Los Angeles on January 26th, and after a few days checked into the Cecil Hotel. For a little background on the Cecil Hotel, Elisa Lam's mysterious death was not the first to happen at the Cecil Hotel. In fact, the building's dark past has earned it a reputation as one of the most haunted properties in Los Angeles. Since opening its doors in 1927, the Cecil Hotel has been plagued by 16 different non-natural deaths and unexplained paranormal events. The most famous death associated with the hotel, other than Lam's, was the 1947 murder of actress Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia, who was reportedly seen drinking at the hotel bar in the days before her brutal murder. It was also home to serial killer Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, in 1985. And Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger, who earned the nickname the Vienna Strangler in 1991. Despite its sordid past, the building was recently granted landmark status by the Los Angeles City Council. According to hotel records, Lam was initially sharing a room with another guest, but after receiving complaints of odd behavior, Elisa was moved to her own room. The complaints revolved around Elisa leaving notes to the other woman to go away and go home. On January 31st, the day Elisa was to check out of the Cecil Hotel, her parents did not receive the daily call from Elisa to check in. Scared that something had gone wrong, the Lams eventually contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. The police searched Elisa's room and used dogs to track her scent, including the rooftop, but nothing was ever found. On February 6th, a week after Lam had last been seen, the police posted flyers and pictures of Lam in the neighborhood and online. This brings the case to the attention of the public and the media for the first time. On February 6th, a week after Lam had last been seen, police received surveillance footage taken from the cameras at the Cecil Hotel. The bizarre video surveillance is disturbing. In approximately 2.5 minutes of footage, Elisa Lam is seen in one of the Cecil's elevators on the date of her disappearance, acting strangely. Lam can be seen stepping into the elevator and pushing all the floor buttons. She steps in and out of the elevator, poking her head out sideways towards the hotel's hallways. She peers out of the elevator another few times before stepping out of the elevator entirely. The last minute of the video shows Elisa standing by the left side of the door, moving her hands randomly, gesturing as if talking to someone. No one else is captured in the video, except for Lam. The video of Lam spread like wildfire across the internet, and the video amassed tens of millions of views, drawing worldwide attention in the case. Several theories emerged to explain her actions at the time. One was that she was being pursued by someone just off camera. Other viewers called out that the elevator doors were acting strangely, only closing after Elisa leaves the elevator. The Cecil Hotel has a dark past, including being the home to not just one, but 2 serial killers. Another theory is that Lam was drugged with some type of party drug, and that someone was trying to abduct her. Although later in her autopsy, no drugs were found in her system. After her mental illness became public knowledge, most wrote her behavior off as a bipolar episode. Strangely, though, her daily medications were detected in her autopsy. Still, other viewers insist that the video has been tampered with before being made public. Besides the obscuring of the timecode, they claim that parts of the video have been slowed down, and nearly a minute of footage has been removed. This could have been done to protect the identity of someone who otherwise would have been in the video, either related or not to the disappearance. Guests at the hotel began complaining about low water pressure. Some others complained that their water was colored black and had an unusual taste. On February 19th, 2 weeks after the video was published by authorities, maintenance worker Santiago Lopez was sent to the roof to investigate the issues with the water. Santiago climbed to the top of the water tanks and lifted the hatch, and to his horror, discovered Elisa Lam's body floating face up in the tank. All her clothes she was last seen in the video wearing were floating next to her. On February 21st, the Los Angeles Coroner Office issued a finding of accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder playing a significant factor in her death. Because the internet is, in fact, the internet, as soon as Elisa's toxicology report was released, amateur sleuths on Reddit began poring over any information they could find in hopes of solving the mystery. One summary of Lam's toxicology report was posted online by a Reddit detective with a background in medicine. The breakdown pointed out 3 key observations. 1. Lam took at least 1 antidepressant that day. 2. Lam had taken her second antidepressant and mood stabilizer recently, but not that day. And 3. Lam had not taken her antipsychotic recently. These conclusions suggest that Lam, who had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, may have not been taking her medications properly. It is an important finding to note, given that the use of antidepressants to treat bipolar disorder can risk inducing manic side effects if done without caution. Some on Reddit have understandably latched onto this detail and suggested it was a likely explanation behind Lam's strange behavior in the elevator. Unfortunately, due to her decomposition, the coroner could not do a full examination of Elisa Lam's body. The question is, how did Elisa end up on the roof? And how did she get into the tank? In a wrongful death suit against the Cecil Hotel brought by Elisa's parents, Santiago Lopez, who was the first to find Lam's body, described in detail how much effort he had to exert to find her body. Lopez said that he had to take the elevator to the 15th floor of the hotel before walking up the staircase to the roof. Then he had to first turn off the rooftop alarm, climb up on a platform where the hotel's 4 water tanks were located. Finally, he had to climb another personal ladder, which was not leaning against the tank at the time, to get to the top of the main tank. Only after all this did he notice anything unusual. I noticed the hatch to the main water tank was open and looked inside and saw an Asian woman lying face up in the water approximately 12 inches from the top of the tank, Lopez said. Considering Lopez's testimony, it would have been difficult for Lam to make it to the top of the water tank on her own without anyone noticing. An interesting thing to point out here is that Lopez stated that the hatch was already open, but in his initial police report he stated that the hatch was closed. So which was it? The hotel's chief engineer, Pedro Travar, also made it clear that it would have been very difficult for anyone to access the roof where the hotel's water tanks were located without triggering the alarms. Only hotel employees would be able to deactivate the alarm properly. If triggered, the sound of the alarm would have reached the front desk as well as the entire 2 top floors of the hotel. That being said, I've seen some videos of people accessing the roof of the Cecil Hotel on a fire escape that did not trigger the alarm. Los Angeles' Superior Court Judge Howard Hallam ruled that the death of Elisa Lam was unforeseeable because it had happened in an area the guests would have not have been allowed access to, so the lawsuit was dismissed. In 2021, the Cecil Hotel reopened as an affordable housing complex operated by the Skid Row Housing Trust. The facility provides affordable living accommodations for 600 new low-income residents, and the historic room rate advertisement from 1927, painted on its southern facade, was illegally whitewashed in 2022. There are just so many questions about what happened that day to Elisa Lam. Was she having a manic episode? How did she open the door to the roof without triggering the alarm? Why did she climb into the water tank? We'll never likely know these answers to these questions. What we do know is that a talented young woman lost her life in that hotel, unfortunately, like many before her. Her tragedy is forever tied to that place. What do you think happened to Elisa Lam? Was it a tragic accident or something darker? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, please like and subscribe and click the bell icon to alert you to any of my new videos. I'm Broadcaster 7. Are you programmed to receive the night signal?